He said, "To the extent I desire to move through you, you must allow me to cut on you." The Leader's Cut. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Leader's Cut. As you can see, I have my best friend on planet Earth, most of you know him as the Basement Tim Ross.
Yeah.
But I've already established I know him as Timmy.
That's it.
And he's my Timmy.
Absolutely. And I'm your twinny.
There we go.
That's right.
And I thought it'd be great he's speaking at Pillar this weekend, and I thought it would be fun. The last 2 weeks we've spent talking about how do you prepare for and steward divine momentum. Mm-hmm. And you can call it a hot streak, you can call it whatever you want, but really what we've described it as, when heaven opens up over you, when the oil of heaven just starts pouring upon you,
coming down
in immeasurable ways, and in ways you haven't seen before. And I thought it would be a fun thing to talk to the one of two people. I think this is happening for Cody too, but you're probably more than anybody in my life, you're experiencing this.
Yep.
And it seems like every day more and more and more in that kind of way. So I thought it would be fun.
Yeah.
Just, we've talked about it, behind closed doors and at the table before. But I want to pick your brain about how you see what's happening right now. I mean, it's been less than 8 months.
Facts.
I mean, you were a senior pastor literally less than 3 months ago.
Absolutely, that's correct.
I mean, when I think about that,
days ago,
when I process that, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's true.
It's less than 75 days.
Yeah, for sure.
You were a senior pastor. Okay, so I've got some questions.
Okay.
But I want to hear your perspective. How would you define what's happening? Because you've lived through like a brick.
Yeah.
I've seen you get on hot streaks before.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. We've been together for a decade and a half. But I've never seen this.
I've never seen
this
it
before. So how would you describe this?
Okay, so the word that I used most often to describe this has been beautifully bewildered. Anytime anybody asks me, I've always said it's beautifully bewildered. Let me give you the revelation I got. So I'm with my therapist last week, my EMDR therapist, and she has a color wheel. And on the color wheel, there are major themes: happy, sad, free, scared. I think I'm missing one. But when somebody says one of those words, happy, sad, scared, or whatever, then it matches to a color, and there's several other words to describe the same thing. So she goes, look at this chart and just tell me what resonates with you. Well, I've been saying beautifully bewildered for at least 6.5 months to describe this season. The word bewildered is on that color wheel and it's under scared. Literally all I've been saying for 6.5 months, Prez, is I'm scared. I had no idea. It wasn't under happy. It wasn't under free. It's under scared. I have been scared.
Whoa.
For 7 months. Not gripping fear, but this is scary. This season.
I guarantee you that's the 4-year-old we're fostering right now. I guarantee you that's Maxon. This is so great. This happens all the time. Riley calls. This is what happens. Like, this is real life. Like, we're not stopping this thing.
No, absolutely not.
No.
It wouldn't be the Leader's Cut.
He's literally, that's Maxon going, hey, let me in. That's exactly I want my snacks right now. I mean, this is
that's hilarious.
A habit. I don't think I have my phone. Otherwise, I would call Holly and say,
it's all good.
We're filming.
Yes, it's all good. So I've been doing this scared. I think anytime you do something new, you should be appropriately scared. And this has been a very scary season for me, because it's all new. When you've done something for 27 years one way,
right,
and what you're asked to do is a completely different way,
right,
this is what you get.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where I am right now.
How do you, we talked about 2 weeks ago on the Leaders Cut about preparing for a hot streak.
Mm-hmm.
When you look back at those 27 years,
Mm-hmm.
how do you, because now you have hindsight.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, we were talking about it at lunch today. You didn't see any of this coming.
Zero.
Like we've thought about this season of life and the basement or
was
anything
not a
like
part of it. Was not a part of it.
Is not.
Podcast never came up.
It's exceedingly abundantly beyond anything we've ever talked about.
That's
before.
exactly right.
And not just a pod. There's lots of people doing pods, and,
right?
You know,
yeah.
But just it's a phenomenon.
It is.
It's kind of become a phenomenon very quickly.
Yeah.
And so now you have hindsight.
Yep.
You look back at the last 27 years.
Yep. How
do you see God was preparing you for what He's now asking you to steward today?
Yeah. So it goes back further than 27. You have to count all 47 and a half because none of it is wasted. Like when you're being prepared for a season, nothing from previous seasons is wasted. There are no like, yeah, I did a trip around the wilderness, but that didn't really do nothing for me. So you think. And so when I think about the last 47 and a half years, I think about the fact that I have had a mic in my hand since I was 3. There's a reel to reel of my dad at my brother's graduation from junior high. I'm 3 years old with a mic in my hand. And I'm like, I'm Timmy Ross. And my dad said, say your name. And I said it already with an attitude. Like that's the earliest moment. And obviously my dad had to give it to me, but that's the earliest moment I have of being in front of a camera is when I was 3 years old. And so you fast forward to me starting to rap at 9, battle rapping at 13. Maxon,
he is going to get those snacks.
He wants.
He's going to
snacks.
get those snacks.
Yeah, he wants his snacks.
I love it. Sweet
oh
boy.
My goodness, baby.
Hi, buddy.
I love you.
I'm filming with Uncle Timmy.
So
I love it.
So I start battle rapping at 13. You're in front of a crowd. They let you know pretty quickly if they're feeling you or not. Spoken word, stand-up comedy, miming. I've always been in front of people, and then subsequently preaching. None of it has been wasted. So when I look back over my life and I see where I am now, I realize every single aspect of my journey, which precedes my relationship with Jesus, was development for me to embrace the season I'm in now.
This is a loaded question. Okay. But why do you think, from your vantage point, why do you think God's allowing you to steward what you're stewarding? And I know it's a little, because you hate to talk about yourself, but I mean, think about the young you who's watching this, who is listening to every word that comes out of your mouth with the thought that some of these things he or she is going to take and rework the way they live out their life in preparation for what God asked them to do.
Yeah.
So why do you think the Lord is allowing you to steward what you're stewarding right now?
I had process group therapy last week as well. It's going to be a theme of this whole thing. There's a lot of therapy going on, right? You need your mental health to be pretty on point to be doing this and stewarding this type of a season. But it was the last one of the year. We go from March to March. So on the last one, everyone in the group gets affirmations and desires. They're kind of like these challenges, hopes for push you into this. But my friend who's in the group said when it was his turn to speak, he goes, I have a word from God for you as to why you're successful in this season. And it's a word from the Lord. It's not just me giving you an affirmation. I feel like God has spoken. He goes, God trusts you. And just to be trusted. I mean, I could spin off a whole bunch of stuff, but for some reason, he trusts me to do this. And it's incredibly humbling to be trusted with it. But that's also scary that he would trust me with, with the type of people that I don't think there's ever a time we get together and I'm not crying, but
I don't think there's ever a time either one of every time both of us end up crying at some point.
Ooh, but I mean, that's what it is. I mean, I could go, oh, my personality or this or that.
No.
You asked me a very specific question. I have a very specific answer. He trusts me. And I'm honored by that trust, and I'm frightened by that trust because he trusts me. I don't know if I trust me sometime. You know what I mean? I'm like, I think I would have picked somebody else. You know what I mean? But it's pretty wild to be trusted with this type of influence at this season of my life. Yeah.
There's so much in your backstory, but it's always been funny to me because even before the basement, I mean, you've had influence. This is not the first measure of influence God has entrusted to you.
Right.
It's just
the most massive
and so quickly,
very quickly,
like the brick
over time.
grew.
Yeah,
Right,
that's right.
exactly.
Absolutely. Over time.
And this was more like bamboo.
It was.
It just, a bamboo shoot will do nothing for year 1, year 2, year 3.
Yeah.
You get to year
5,
6, 7, 8. You get deep into it, and it just starts.
Yeah.
Crazy growth.
Yeah. Impale you type growth, right? It goes straight up.
I think one of the things that is funny to me is the guy who went by the anonymous who.
Ooh, you.
I'm reaching into a little bit of backstory,
buddy,
but
in
Timmy,
your bag.
you could have chosen any.
Yeah, that's very true.
You could have chosen any name to go by.
Yep. Yeah.
But you went by the anonymous who.
That's right.
You make jokes about, being an introvert. I think it's divinely hilarious.
Yeah.
That the guy God handpicks to steward this influence.
Yep.
For years and in his heart.
Yeah.
Not just when he was battle rapping.
Yeah. Absolutely correct.
But when he was pastoring.
Yeah.
When he was young adult pastor.
Yeah.
When he was serving another man's vision.
Yeah, that's right.
There was always a bit of an anonymous who you've lived that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
No matter how many views a sermon got from back in the day.
Yeah, absolutely correct.
And so I don't think that's by accident. You've cultivated that heart.
Yep.
When you think about why would God trust someone like a Tim? It's things like this. Is your name more important than my name? And I mean, that was the name he went by when he rapped on the radio. How many? What was the longest streak you had?
45 days.
45 days without anybody beating it.
Yeah.
And that was on the radio in Dallas.
That's right. 97.9 to beat.
The anonymous who, and nobody knew.
Nobody knew who I was.
But that's a way you've lived.
Yep.
And so of course God's going to put somebody on a stage who had a chance to put his name out there and went with anonymity.
Yeah, bro.
Even in popularity.
Yeah, bro.
You have always chosen anonymity. And I think when we go through scripture, it seems like that's one of the things. He plucked David from anonymity, the field of anonymity, and got him into the room. But David wasn't fighting his way into the room.
Absolutely
and
not.
This is something it's fascinated me about you. I've never watched you fight your way into a seat at the king's table, and yet you always end up there. And I just don't think that's an accident.
Well, bro, we've been saying this about each other for years. I understand myself better when I'm sitting across from you. I've never thought about what you just said. Like, I've literally never thought about it until you said it. I haven't run from the spotlight, but I don't volunteer for it.
I've never seen it.
I don't volunteer for it. I'm just like, I'm comfortable over here. I don't, there's been times, and I think this needs to be said, there have been times where all I had to do was open my mouth and I could have shut the whole room down. And I'm like, why would I ever do that? If he wants me to do it, he'll open his mouth. I don't have to open mine. And if he opens his mouth, it'll last longer than if I open my mouth. So you're absolutely right. I just think there was something about this transition. You were the first, I think you're the second person I called after Juliet when he gave me the word. I talked to you driving back from Oklahoma. It was raw. You know what I mean? Like, I think the Lord's telling me to step down from my church. And the more I processed it, I literally thought, oh, finally, I get to fade into the background. I literally did, bro. I'm like, my thought was, oh, I'm going to fade into the background because, bro, I did the numbers. It's 11 months from the time he told me,
wow,
to step away from Embassy City until the revelation of the basement being what he wanted it to be. So September is when he tells me. It's August when we have 25,000 subscribers after only being up 3.5 weeks. So this is not I left Embassy City because my podcast was successful. Some people read the timeline wrong. Yeah. No, there's 11 months in between that, bro. And so that's a long time to think about what's next. And my thought was, I get to fade into the background and help my friends that have massive influence, because I'd rather them have it than me, rather the attention be on them than me. And I'll just help their churches. You know what I mean? And then the Lord's like, psych. So it's very surreal. It really is.
It's neat to see the way you're viewing it all, because I'm still getting used to you being the basement's Tim Ross. We talked about that at lunch. Me too. It's anytime I talk about you, the basement.
Yeah, exactly. It's so weird.
It's taking me time to get used to.
Me too.
But it's fun behind the scenes to watch you process all of this like a little boy. There's no strategy. And I don't say this as when we said, you are not being strategic in the least.
I promise you I'm not.
But that's when all you know to do is obey.
That's been my life.
You don't even need the strategy. He just tells you what to do.
Dude, he's the one that told me to do the podcast. Why would I start the podcast based on him telling me to and then go, hand me the social media playbook and let me figure out which play to run?
Right.
What? He's in the algorithm. He's been the marketing agent. He's been the virality of it all, right? This ain't me. This ain't Hector. This ain't Sam conspiring like, oh, dude.
Nobody pulled the lever.
The
God of the universe pulled the lever.
Yeah, nobody's like timing clips and like, this will go viral. We didn't know any of that was going viral. We're just obeying what he tells us to do. And that's where all my success has been for 27 years since I've been following him. That should not change.
Right.
If that changes, everything goes south quick.
What's been one of the things where, we talked about this at lunch, but so much of what's happening, you didn't see coming.
Mm-mm.
What's one of the sweet surprises that you didn't see coming?
I think one of the sweetest is how many people we were going to reach that would have never walked through the church doors. Like you and I are twins. We have a heart to see lost people saved. And the way we're wired is pick up your cross and die. We don't really have an evangelistic kind of word.
It's not a sexy spiel.
We don't have a sexy spiel at all, right? So, we're not sitting here with 30,000 members in our church because we just, man, everybody's love. And I think some are apostles, prophets, evangelists, pastors, and teachers. You and I are not evangelists by default. That's not who we are. We love the lost, but we're really like, are you ready to die? You know what I mean? Like, and that's not sexy. That's not, the masses aren't showing up to hear that message every weekend. That's just the truth, right? But we grow people up, and they make decisions to be disciples, and to step into all of that. And without my heart changing, I'm reaching people that were never going to come to church.
Right.
Athletes, singers, entertainers, celebrities, OnlyFans models, like atheists, people from the LGBTQIA plus community, right? The agnostics. They're all like, yo, bro, I don't really like church, but I like what you say, and I like the way you say it. You're helping me grow. That's not something I've never had that happen. We've had lost people come to church, but it's not been with
it's unreal.
It's unreal.
I mean,
bro.
That's one of the wild things to watch in this whole deal. What was the picture the woman gave you about the walking on water? Because you use that phraseology a lot.
I do.
But that picture to me, because I think we think, because we grew up in the church, that's the way that God was. Like if you were talking about the next 25 years,
right,
and you've said it publicly,
right,
like I thought I was going to die a senior pastor.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
That was the X amount of years.
Yeah, absolutely.
There was a plan.
Yep.
We grew up in the church. This is how God's going to use me.
That's right.
But he pulls you out of that and off of that stage, and a massive measure of people who never would have gone to Embassy City
ever,
or watched Embassy City's YouTube channel.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah.
People that never would have darkened the door are not just listening.
Yeah.
They're following as you follow.
It's funny you say that, because here's a thought I just had. God has used me to get more people into his church since I stepped out of it than he did
when you were in it.
I have not thought about that until right this minute. That's wild. Literally, like, more people have come to church since I stepped down because of the podcast. They started, one of the natural progressions is they want to get back into community.
Right.
And they're like, but now I need to just find a place that is as authentic
right,
as the guy I'm listening to. And they're finding it in community and in certain churches. And it's like, I can't be in the basement and be in the pulpit at the same time. And that's why, in hindsight, I know why God told me to step down. Like, buddy, you'll trickle feed the church, but I need you down here. Sit down and I'll get them to come back to my house. So unintended consequence of obedience.
When you were in the middle of the process.
Yep.
And you didn't know what God was preparing you for.
Yep.
But you knew he's preparing you for something.
Yeah.
What were some of the moments of frustration like when you look back?
So, I've always known that I was meant to do something big, but big is relative, right? I don't mean big like as in I'm going to have 30,000 people. I'm going to be on TV. I'm going to be an actor. I just knew I'm meant to do something big. And then here's the thing. Everything that he's allowed me to do, I actually thought that was the big thing. So I'm like, when I get to, you know, when I step out from Nissan Motor Acceptance Corporation, I'm going way back, and I start traveling, and within a year, I'm able to give Juliet the option to come off her job. I'm like, oh, this is big time. Thank you, Lord. Right? This is it. And then I get the call to be a young adult pastor, and I'm like, it's the biggest thing everything I've ever done has been the biggest thing I've ever done.
That's great. Yeah.
So it's like my moments of frustration have come when I can feel like the grace is lifting and I don't know where to go yet. That's when it's been the most difficult for me to stay. Because when it's lifting, it's so uncomfortable. You're like, I'm out. But if you don't wait to hear where is next, you could literally jump off 8 seconds before you have a landing spot. I saw a guy jump out of a plane with no parachute. He wound up being in the Guinness Book of World Records. But basically, the deal is he gets up to a certain height, he jumps out of the plane, and he knows how to navigate to where there's a huge net that's going to break his fall. And he's in the Guinness. The man who jumps from the highest altitude with no parachute, he's in the Guinness Book of World Records. If he don't jump at the right time, it doesn't matter how big that net is, he's going to miss it. He's going to die. And so when grace is lifting, grace can be lifting before God can be speaking. And if you do not wait for his words and you only go off of the feeling you have, you could miss the net and you could break every bone in your body. And then you wind up mad at God. And he's like, I lifted the door open. I didn't say jump. The door opening and when to jump are two different things. Yeah. Right. And so that's when I remember being at Gateway, and I was an assistant campus pastor under Byron. And I remember the grace lifting, and I'm just like, ooh, it feels uncomfortable to be here. And then, but I didn't know where to go. Mm-hmm. And then I had a conversation with Byron, and Byron was like, buddy, some things need to change, but I don't know what's next for you, and we're going to have to just thug this out right through here, and that was such an uncomfortable position, and it's so frustrating, but I didn't make any sudden moves. Yeah. And lo and behold, they just create a position for me that eases that feeling and lets me know, okay, God, all right, this is your next step for me. I really appreciate it. But my biggest frustrations have come when I feel the grace lifting and I don't know what's next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think sometimes when I look back on our paths and younger ones like us, sometimes when we feel the grace lift, we think what God's saying is we're done here. But what he's actually saying is probably more like we're beginning to wrap things up.
That's correct. That's absolutely correct.
And so if we look back, sometimes we would have moved too fast.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, I'm done here.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I'm out of here.
That's exactly right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's over.
That's right. No. Yeah.
But it's really God saying, when the grace starts to lift.
That's correct.
Because usually it doesn't just, it's gone.
Never.
The cloud starts just moving slowly.
That's exactly right.
And that's the thing.
That's right.
And so we learn to wait.
Yeah.
Until he says, what's next?
That's right.
But I think the way watching how you navigated going from a senior pastor of a very healthy and a wonderful church.
Oh, I love that.
Doing great things.
Yes, absolutely correct.
On a hot streak.
On a hot streak.
I mean, you were on a hot streak.
On a hot streak.
This wasn't a situation where you were looking, this isn't working.
Yeah. It's starting to taper off. Let me jump off before
and
it
most
sinks.
of the people in your life were saying you're a lunatic.
That's
Not to your face,
it's
but
very true.
I mean, people we
true.
love, we're literally thinking he's a lunatic. He's done lost his mind, because the basement wasn't the basement when you started privately sharing this with the people in your life and the people that have been there, not just friends, but ministry.
Absolutely.
I mean, the basement, when you started sharing it, the basement was not a thing. It wasn't even close to it.
No, absolutely. It wasn't even on my...
really, it was so not a thing yet that you weren't saying, I'm stopping this because I'm going to go do that.
No, absolutely not.
You were talking more about apostolic.
That's correct.
That was
absolutely correct.
This is the season of my life.
Yeah. Just for timeline, because, I'm big on sequence. September is when I get the word. October is when I really start sharing it kind of outside my inner circle. The basement doesn't even become a thought in my mind until May of 22.
Yeah.
We're talking September 21 to May of 22. So there is no...
There was no planning.
There was no plan. This is not... You can't plan this.
It was not your parachute.
No, it's not. No, it was not. No, it wasn't.
But your assignment.
That's exactly right. It's an assignment, which is why there's a grace for it and which is why it's working.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there. I'll be bold enough to say this because I can't. There's a lot of people out there with a close up to their face, talking to no one, popping off at the mouth, and there's no oil on it.
Yeah.
It's not if the Lord ain't telling you to do this, you shouldn't. You shouldn't pastor if he's not telling you to pastor. Right. You shouldn't podcast if he's not telling you to podcast. You want to be in the center of God's will. You don't want to just be trying stuff. But whatever he tells you to do, whether you understand it or not, do it.
Right.
Because he knows why it needs to be done. You don't.
Right.
So, yeah.
And you'd screw it up if you tried to overthink it and plan it.
Buddy.
You would not have been doing it the way you're doing it.
Oh, no.
If you were really sitting down, ideating with a bunch of people.
Absolutely correct.
It wouldn't have gone this way.
No, I would have been Jonah. I would have went to Tarsus. Right? Like, if I don't want to do exactly what he tells me to do, I'm on a boat to Tarsus, messing up somebody else's destiny. The destination of everybody on the boat to Tarsus was where they were supposed to be going. Except Jonah. And the only thing that happens when you end up on a boat that you were never meant to be on is you mess up other people's destiny.
Mm.
They wound up expending resources, throwing them overboard, trying to figure out what was wrong. And after throwing resources overboard, that's when it dawned on them to find out, who's that?
Who is not supposed to be here? That guy.
Right. The holy casting of lots back in those days, right? So I just want to always be in the center of God's will. And I don't want to be impulsive and wind up messing up somebody else's life because what they're doing looks enjoyable and I want to tag along with them. All because the destination he chose for me doesn't seem exciting. I'm an introvert. Nothing really seems exciting if it has to do with being out of my house. I'm essentially a domesticated house cat with a kitty litter and a scratching post. Like I never want to leave my house. You know, my wife is cute, my boys are dope, and we play games together. So there's no reason to leave, except when he calls you, you go. So,
and on the other side of that coin, if you would have stayed, you would have been on someone else's boat to Tarshish.
That is always a very sobering thought. Is I'm scared to think of me being the lead pastor of Embassy City, January 1st of 2023.
I remember you telling me the first time.
Yeah.
Because I was processing real time. This impending transition months and months before it became official.
Yep.
And I'm thinking through all the thoughts. I'm trying to be a good friend. And when you said to me, and you were crying, and you said, I know it might sound crazy, But if I am standing in that pulpit January the 1st, I'm afraid.
Yes, sir.
Of what might happen.
Yes, sir.
And it was a holy moment. And it took me back, and I went, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's a man who served from the Lord.
Yep, absolutely.
He doesn't have all the answers.
No, I do not.
You didn't have all the answers to what it was going to look like. What am I going to do? Where is it going to come from? None of that.
None of that.
But it was clear you had your word from the Lord.
Absolutely.
And but you didn't browbeat anybody with it. You didn't go to your elders and put it. I mean, it took time.
Yeah, it did.
It took a long time to walk through.
Correct. Yeah, it did.
And you gave everybody time to process it and pray through it.
Yep.
But it hit me when you said, and that's how I heard it.
Yeah.
If January the 1st I'm in that pulpit, I'm on somebody else's boat to their city. I'm going to Tarshish and I'm not supposed to be there. And I think if we could communicate to the us's, no destination.
That's absolutely correct.
No destination.
Absolutely correct.
Is worth it. No matter how great the online photos are. No destination is worth getting out from underneath the oil. Because what I would say, the basement isn't the win. And
it's not.
Some people might think that's just crazy talk.
The
basement isn't the win.
No, it's not.
It's the oil.
That's correct.
To walk out the basement.
That's absolutely
and
correct.
everything else that comes with it.
It's
the oil.
It's the oil.
That's the win.
That's right.
It's not the platform.
No, it's not.
It's not the podcast.
No, it's not.
It's that oil.
It's that oil.
And that look on his face.
Yeah.
And I will say that has become an addiction of ours. That look on that grin on his face.
That's
a little wry smile, it seems, when we just do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly what he says. When he doesn't give us the whole plan.
Yeah, that's right.
He didn't lay it all out what it was going to look like.
No.
But we just, okay. Mm-hmm. I know that tone in your voice. I'll do whatever you tell me to do. I'll give you whatever you ask me to give you. And that look on his face.
Yeah. If he is the author and the finisher of our faith, then he is the starter and the endings of our seasons. If he is the author and finisher of my faith, he's the one that starts and ends my seasons. So he told me when to start the church. He tells me when to stop. And if heaven help me, if I'm only obedient to what he tells me to begin, and I'm always disobedient when he tells me when it ends, I'm setting myself up for failure. And so I have to be as obedient when he says stop a thing.
Good Lord.
As he is when he says to start a thing. Here's where we get it very, very blurred. There's so much excitement that comes with starting. And we confuse obedience and the feeling we have with starting with the way it's supposed to feel when it ends. But you don't feel excitement when something ends, especially not when it's going well. But you do have to be able to say it is finished. Not I am finished. It is finished. I never thought I was finished. I knew it was. And I didn't know what was next, and I didn't know how I was going to look. And again, you never heard a podcast prior to May, because I never heard a podcast prior to May, right? And when he says it's over, though, it's over. And you're not going to feel what you felt when it started. But heaven help you if you don't have the same obedience.
When I think about, there were multiple times going back in your past where it was over, the grace lifted, and you had multiple major transitions, and you were in unbelievable places. Like, I wish I could go through all of the places that just, amazing places.
Yes, buddy. Yes, buddy.
Outsiders would say, you have lost your mind.
Absolutely.
To leave that place.
Absolutely.
But it's like, when I saw you do this, you were so matter of fact. And of course there was grieving and there was, but in the way the message was relayed, the message you received, it was just, I must go.
Absolutely correct.
There was no drama. There was no, I must go.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he'll make the moves.
Yep.
but I know he told me
Yep.
it's over.
Absolutely.
It is finished.
Absolutely.
But he had prepared you because Timmy, I mean,
he's always prepared.
You're in the
me.
prime.
Yeah, I am.
You're in the ministerial prime.
Yeah, absolutely correct. Oh, absolutely correct.
And on a hot streak.
Yep.
Before all of this.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
You'd been on a hot streak for years.
Yeah.
But he had prepared you
That's right.
multiple times.
Yep.
And so I think it's important for you watching to really process. I think some of us, we get frustrated when God changes the plan. The plan is the plan.
Absolutely correct.
We may not see transition coming.
Right.
But the plan is the plan.
That's right.
And every transition back then was preparation for the biggest life transition. Like it looks genius now.
Yeah.
That's what sucks because most people will be like, oh yeah, well of course.
Yeah, exactly.
That's hindsight.
Exactly.
That is hindsight. That is
That's
not.
exactly right.
Do not put that on him.
Nope.
Because that's not how it happened.
No.
It looks genius now, but it was insanity then.
That's exactly what
It's
it
facts.
was called. It's
facts.
It's facts.
But that's what faith is.
Yes, it is. It is.
It's insane until it's genius, bro. It's insane.
Yeah, absolutely.
Until it's not.
Until it's not. Yeah.
But so much of those steps were preparation for this step.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it's just important. God never just throws something on us. It's like,
no.
you would actually practice leaving.
Oh, multiple.
You left some amazing places,
sir.
amazing spots,
Yes,
amazing
sir.
jobs.
Yes, sir.
Amazing hot streaks.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
To go start all over again.
Yep.
And so this time.
Yeah. And when it's time, when this is over, whenever it's over. Now I have asked the Lord to allow me to do this as long as I preached. I would love to do this for 20 something years. It would just be, I think the older I get, the more wisdom I'll have in that chair. You know what I mean? So Tim at 67 doing the basement would be dope. You know what I mean? To still be talking to like a 25-year-old, like that would be fantastic. I would love that. But if it's over next year, I will walk away.
Yeah.
Like it never.
That's what's so great about you.
Existed.
I wish people could actually understand that. That's actually how you live your life.
Exactly.
If it was over tomorrow, you would just move on to what's next.
I
the next
would.
destination of the ship.
Yep.
But
absolutely.
I think that's a part of why
Yeah.
God's entrusted it to you.
Yeah.
Because another way to say that is you don't idolize it. You are not enamored with the power, the influence. Like you said, you didn't even realize you've been saying this whole time, I'm scared.
That's right. I had no idea. That's what happens when you have a vast vocabulary. I'm bewildered. What, bro? You're just scared. Oh, am I? I had no idea.
But that shows the awe and reverence.
Yeah.
That you know God asked you to do this.
Yeah.
And it's not just some idea. You're not operating in your gift. You're walking out your calling in obedience. And I think the biggest thing about the basement to me, it isn't your personality. It's the oil
Yes, sir.
on you being obedient and you doing what you do.
Yeah.
But there were so many years of preparation.
That's right.
This did not happen overnight. And I know you've talked about that in the basement.
Absolutely.
But it couldn't have happened overnight.
A 27-year-old couldn't do this. 27-year-old Tim couldn't do this. 37-year-old Tim couldn't do this. His timing is perfect.
But that's one of the best, to me, one of the best answers to God, why isn't it happening now?
You don't want it to happen.
You don't want it to happen right now. You want it to be over in 10 minutes? Okay. One of the great questions I get asked every once in a while from guys kind of in our circle about coming out here and coming out of Gateway and starting with Cody and all that stuff.
Yep.
And of course, it didn't. Now, the Lord had told me privately, Preston, this isn't going to start the way everyone expects.
Right. You said that.
I have you in a
told me that
process.
word.
And so everyone else thought, you Cody and Gateway, Robert, this is going to blow up.
You're going to have 10,000 people in 4 years.
I will get asked every once in a while, Preston, why do you think it didn't happen then? And I have the same answer. Because I couldn't have stewarded it. I was the reason. I was holding us back, not because of a lack of something, but because the process God had me in hadn't got me to where I could steward that something.
That's good. No, it's true.
And so instead of getting
you gotta
frustrated,
know it. Absolutely. Yes.
I mean, this is,
yes.
God has me in a process. God has you in a process. The destination, that's on him. The outcome, that's on him. Obedience, that's on me.
All right. So this brings up a very good point that I don't think we should ignore. Self-awareness can keep us from being frustrated with God. Self-awareness can actually help us agree with God. When someone asks you, why did you think it happened for you back then? I was in the way. It helps you to go, God, thank you for not giving me this right now.
Thank you, Lord.
Because I know I ain't ready. It's funny, like we talk about like these massive steps of faith that I've stepped out into whenever the Lord told me to. What a lot of people don't know is how much I've declined. Because I knew that's not for me. And the stuff, the places I've walked away from has been amazing places. But I've also declined some things.
I'm thinking of one specifically right now. On a silver platter, it was handed to you.
I have also declined some
and
things.
Your answer was no.
No.
And they thought you were crazy.
Absolutely correct.
And you said,
absolutely.
I'm not ready.
When you have self-awareness or you're clear on what your assignment is, then a thorn bush can't ask you to wave back and forth in front of them. You want me to stop making apples to take on your title? I'm going to be a fruit tree and I'm going to produce my fruit. But we want you to do this. The only thing you have to do is stop producing that fruit. But okay, you won't be an apple tree anymore, but you'll be king of trees. Well, if I have the title king of trees, but I have no fruit that's ever going to grow on my branches again, I just exist. I don't live.
That title is not worth that lack of fruit.
I keep seeing this thing on social media. This guy asked a question, how many of you all would take $10 million right now? And everybody's like, oh, heck yeah. Like entrepreneurs, business people. I'll take $10 million right now. Cool. I give you $10 million today. All of you all agree to take it? Yes, we all want $10 million. Absolutely. We'll go. That'll help us move on in our career. Okay, here's the only stipulation. You don't wake up tomorrow. Do you still want the 10 mil? And then everybody's like, oh no. He goes, but I thought you wanted the money. And then he goes, oh, so your life is more important than the money you so desperately think you need. How is it going to change the way you wake up tomorrow morning? It's not about the money.
If you don't wake up.
If you don't wake up, why get what you want and then don't want what you got? So this is not just about the grace to step out when the Lord tells you to. You got to know what to say no to. I play dominoes. I'm from Inglewood. We play dominoes. And, you know, when you play dominoes and you got a good hand and you see you can score or lock up the game based on what's in your hand, we have a saying, all money ain't good money. All points ain't good points. And there's some things you got to look in the face and say no to because you know this has nothing to do with my purpose. It brings Matthew 4 comes to mind, right? There's the 3 temptations of Jesus. Satan comes to him. Turn this stone into bread. Yeah, I'm hungry, but no. I won't misuse my authority and my power to satisfy a legitimate desire in an illegitimate way. Satan, dang it. He's using the word. I know the word too. Go up there and throw yourself down. Yeah, no. Bow down and worship me. I will not. This is Abraham and David's sentiment. You will not give me something that costs me nothing. That's the strongest implication of his rejection to those 3 temptations. You will not give me something that costs me nothing. I'm going to pay full price for this. Only self-awareness can give you that.
Yeah.
Roast, you just snatch and grab at anything and you wind up in positions that other people plan for you, but that don't even fit you. It's not even your purpose, your plan, your desire.
When you spend all your time telling the Lord, I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready, you are guaranteed to end up in seats you were never meant to sit in. I was my most dangerous when I was telling the Lord and my wife and my friends and my bosses, I am ready.
Ooh.
I am ready.
Lord have mercy.
I am ready.
Ooh.
I was a threat to myself and my future.
That's scary.
Every time I use those words.
Yes, sir.
And
Absolutely.
then what's wild is when you actually enter God's process, because then I was not.
Yeah.
I was outside of his process. I wanted nothing to do with what he asked me to do.
Yeah.
I just wanted everything that would come with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you finally get to the place
Yeah.
where he says, you're ready. It's time. You know you're ready, in my opinion, when your response is,
I ain't ready.
I'm not.
I don't want to do
I'm
that.
not ready.
Absolutely
ready.
correct.
When Robert said, it's time to get you ready to leave, my response was, I don't want to go.
Mm-hmm.
I know me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not ready.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But 10 years earlier,
Mm-hmm.
in my heart, every day of my life, every
I'm ready
meeting I
now.
was in, I am
ready.
more ready than anybody in this room.
There's something about being between like 20, let's just go 20 to like, I don't think it's all of your 20s, but somewhere between like 20 and 26, you're just delusional.
Oh, sweet mother of Jesus and Mephibosheth.
That's when you're like sitting up going,
Dangerously
I can do what he
delusional.
does in my sleep. He doesn't know what to do, but I do. There's something about 20 to 26.
I could do his job better than him.
Yeah,
I
that-
could preach that message
Yes,
better than him. I could run that
yes.
business better than her.
Absolutely. I should have been one of the main session speakers for this leadership conference. You're 23 years old, fam.
You know, one of the scariest thoughts is if God actually responds and says, okay, here.
Oh,
Those are the moments that scare me.
That's
the stuff that keeps me up at night.
that is
That if in my flesh I would talk like that, and then he would say, okay, here you go. I've lived long enough to know. I don't want that
I don't want
feeling.
none of that smoke.
I don't want any of that smoke. Don't even. No, give it to someone else.
Uh-huh.
They are ready.
That's exactly
Sir,
right.
I am not.
ready.
I am
Nope.
not.
That's literally how I've gotten every major thing I've gotten is by telling him, give it to him. He's thirsty. I can tell he wants it. And the Lord's like, you can have it. And I'm like, I didn't even ask for this, sir. I don't want it. He's like, go ahead. And I'm like, I'd rather not. Then he's like, do it. And I'm like, oh, okay, Lord. Like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, if you want me to. Yeah. Here I am, send me. It's different than I am ready. Because you still leave the choice up to the Lord. You're not making the choice for him. Here I am, send me is volunteering to get put into the game. It's not you saying,
I alone am the one.
Yeah. I alone
Put me in
am
that
the
spot.
one.
No.
Yeah.
If you want to,
Yeah.
use me.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to. That's the best prayer you could have. Ooh, this is a life hack for a 20-year-old right now, for sure. If you want the life hack to God's will, let him come up with what he wants you to do. I know you can have desires and dreams and ambitions and things that you feel like you want to do. I dare you to just be like, why don't you choose for me? Bruh, that's a game changer. I'm going to let you choose for me what you want me to do. That'll change everything. You wind up doing something you never thought you would be doing.
Ambition can't survive in an environment like that.
At all. Because you're
no
content.
oxygen.
Yeah, you're content to do only what he tells you to do.
I don't decide, he does.
That's exactly right, dude.
But it's going to take longer.
Yes, sir.
It's going to be harder.
Yes, sir.
It's going to be worse.
Yeah, absolutely.
Than you can imagine.
Absolutely.
But it will be better.
It will be
than
better.
Anything
and sweeter.
done your way.
Oh, it's so true.
Apart from him. And I think watching you do you right now, I'm just dumbfounded. And I know you well enough to know. I mean, you're an amazing human.
Thank you.
And that, of course, is in part why you're walking this out the way you are. But I also think there's a divine grace.
There is, dude. This is the easiest thing I've ever done in my life.
I can see it on you. Whew. I'm learning so much right now watching you. I watched you strive, and not in a bad way.
Yep.
But I mean, you were willing to do whatever had to be.
Yeah.
What I'm watching right now is so different.
Yeah.
It's a different you. It's the same you, same heart.
Yeah.
But it just seems like it is just
it's
coming, and you.
There's something written in I gotta pull it up. This is 1 Samuel. It's 18. I don't want to even like paraphrase it. It's just too good. In 18:14. Thank you, Holy Spirit. David continued to succeed in everything he did, for the Lord was with him. That's how I feel right now. It's like everything is successful. Every metric is up and to the right. Every conversation we have leads to some connection that leads to some open door that leads to some favor with somebody. And I'm like, what is happening right now? What? All the success is coming because the Lord is with me. I didn't leave the church and subsequently leave the Lord to go start a company or a business. The Lord called me out here to do something different for him than I've ever done in my life. And it's successful because he's with me. Mm-hmm. He was with me in the boat. He's with me on the water. So that's the secret sauce to all the success is the Lord with you.
And years and years and years and years and years and years of process. Mm-hmm. And it's not to say that you're not in process.
Oh, absolutely.
We'll be in process until the day we go to be with the Lord.
But there's a lot of process that comes before this.
There's no doubt about
type of stewardship. Absolutely.
For him to be able to entrust something like this.
That's right.
There are a lot of tests that have to be passed.
Oh, yes.
And what's so wild to me about so many of the men and women that we get a chance to mentor, the frustration level with tests is mind-numbing to me. You can't graduate without tests.
Point blank, period.
We should get excited every time he issues a test.
That's right.
I've watched you take so many tests. Somebody who did what you did in leaving something so great and so many great people that you thought you were going to every week of your life
be with
do
them.
This thing with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
You had it all.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything you lacked.
That's right.
But you've done this. I've seen you do it before. Even bigger, God's seen you do this multiple times. Every time the cloud moved.
Mm-hmm. I go.
You've made the choice.
I go by.
Follow.
Yes.
So of course it would go like this.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
So I hope in spending this time with them that they're able to see the total and utter lack of planning. Because you know me. I mean, strategic is in my 5.
Mine too.
We'll do this.
Absolutely.
Like leave me in a vacuum.
Absolutely.
If you ask me,
we will come up with a plan.
There's no, you can't strategize God's movements.
No.
And his words.
Yep.
And when the Spirit of God breathes.
Yep.
And all of that is happening right now. And I hope that people, are encouraged because they see, oh, wow, I followed Tim, watched him since Brick.
Yep.
I've seen the growth. I've seen him go through the process. I've seen him take the test and graduate. And I think I'm kind of like him.
Yep.
And I could see, okay, I just need to stay faithful.
Yeah, that's right.
I hope they're encouraged to
Me too.
remain
I hope
faithful.
so too. I hope so too. Absolutely.
Because you've been successful this whole time. The numbers thing that people get into, you know, that hundreds of thousands of people watch your stuff. I would say, if we ask the Lord, you've been successful.
Oh, absolutely correct.
All this time.
That's right.
When you were putting out those 3-minute freestyles.
Absolutely correct.
And
absolutely correct. Oh, dude, I got to pull this out. My sister sent me this today when I got off the plane. She sent me this text message. I don't even know if y'all can see that, but if you can't see it, I'm going to tell you what it says. It's my Upset the Gram Instagram account. There's 0 posts. There's only 1 follower, and it's my god sister. And I was following 5 people. And this was March of 2020, because that's when I made this account 3 years ago. I was not on social media prior to March of 2020. And that account now has like 450,000 followers. That lets you know how much I cared about numbers and the success. If only my god sister was following me 3 years later, I wouldn't be like, I don't understand how I can't get it to do so. Success is obedience.
100%.
And God's presence. I was thinking about Isaiah saying, here I am, Lord, send me. And saying, I am a man of unclean lips. God's presence doesn't make you confident. It makes you reverent. And our reverence for him is what has put us in this position. Now I do have godly confidence, but in his presence, only thing I can think of is his righteousness and his holiness is not mine.
I am not him.
I am not him.
I am the grasshopper.
He is not me.
He's the one holding the universe up by the power of his command.
Absolutely correct.
Not me.
Absolutely correct. So you get to tell me what to do. My life is not my own. Yeah.
It's just amazing to me that you've stayed the same. You can see you're not affected by this.
Mm-mm.
Like I've been watching this last 6 months, especially just to see, not expecting anything.
Yeah.
But I'm enamored with the fact that nothing has changed.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah.
In fact, I almost feel like you're going deeper in the cave privately.
Mm-hmm.
The more I'm seeing God promote you.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes, it feels like you are running further into the cave than ever before.
Well, it makes me very emotional that you would say that, because what you say matters to me. As my brother and my friend, what you say matters to me. And for you to say that is, you would be the first to know, one of the first to know. Juliet and you would probably be 1A and 1B to know if this was getting to me in an unhealthy way. People from long distance have a lot of courageous thumbs and they get to say a lot of things. And I think he's this and I think he's that. But for you to say, I've been watching you and I haven't seen you change as a result of this, that is like, I want to please God. I want you to be proud of what I'm doing. And that means the world to me, dude.
Oh, I don't think, and I've said this to you, I don't think I've ever been more proud of you, not because of the acclaim or the influence. I've seen you preach in some of the biggest churches in the world.
Yes, you have.
And
Yes, you have.
say some very anointed things. I've seen you do some really amazing things over the years. It isn't the basement that impresses me so much. It is genuinely how you are stewarding the basement. And I look at it and I said to Holly, I was like, baby, I know I couldn't handle that the way he's handling it right now. Because it's a lot overnight. People don't understand.
That's right.
It's if someone recognizes me in a small town
Yeah.
because of you, like it was a wake-up call.
What was the name?
Cornelius, North Carolina.
Every time you say
Timmy.
the name, I didn't even know
When
Cornelius.
someone comes up to me in a coffee shop because of you, they know you. That and that's just a whole nother
It is.
realm.
It really is.
And to watch how sweet
Cornelius cracks me up.
and humble you have been. This to me, and this is probably a horrible way to describe it, I've watched you give $1,000 tips at restaurants before and rock sweet elderly women who are still serving tables.
Yes, sir.
I've seen you rock their world while no one was watching. And to me, from my vantage point, it just seems like you look at the basement like another big tip.
It is.
It's not yours.
Nope.
It doesn't belong to you.
Nope.
That $1,000.
Yep.
I watched how easily you transferred it because you never saw it as yours.
That's right.
And it just feels like, from my vantage point, the basement is just another one of those things God has given to you for you to give away.
Yeah.
And I hope more and more people follow you and watch you because you're a real one.
Thank you, bro.
And if my children turned out to be like you, if my wife and I brought one little girl into this world and she married someone like you, this is what I want.
Yeah.
And so I know I don't have to say it because there's so many people that are proud of you. This is a lot to handle.
Yep.
It's a lot.
Yep.
It's a lot of responsibility.
It is. It is.
And it's a lot of anointing.
It is.
And a lot comes with that.
Yep.
It's a lot of influence.
Yep.
But you are navigating it like little boy Timmy, the purest version of him.
Thank you.
And I hope to be more like you.
Thank you, man.
And you're teaching me so much.
Thank
and
you,
I
bro.
hope that this has been for them. I hope just seeing more. You put yourself out there so much with the basement.
But this is such a different context. I'm glad we're doing this. Because you pull stuff out of me that nobody else can get out of me. So.
What'll be fun about our next episode is we're gonna walk through some of our mistakes.
Yep. That might be a 3 hour. There's been a lot of mistakes
to try and help people just understand. But it's a part of the process.
We're not batting 1,000.
No,
fam. We're not batting 1,000.
Everybody sees the highlight reel.
We've been embarrassed
a ton of times, and we will continue to embarrass ourselves.
Absolutely.
So that will be a fun experience.
Yeah, for sure.
For us and for all.
Yep.
But I love you so much.
I love you too, bro.
And getting to do this life together is one of the richest privileges. And getting to watch you do you in this season is one of the rewarding things about getting to be me.
I love you, bro.
I love you so much.
Thank you.
And we love you. We love you so much.
Yeah, we do.
We do.
Yeah, we do.
We love you. We love you. And we pray that the Holy Spirit, first, we always pray this about others when we're around people. We want you to have what God's given us.
Yes.
With the
oh
other.
my goodness.
Like this, I hope you understand. We pray. This should be normal.
It should be.
We want you to
Can be.
Your David, your Jonathan, your Deborah, your Mary of Magdala. This should be normal.
Yes, sir.
But then also, I pray that you see, don't get caught up in all the bright lights. There's so many lights that are fixed on him. right now, and it's an amazing thing. But I hope you saw he's not paying attention to one of the lights. Everything he's doing, he sees as a request from the Lord to be stewarded in this season of his life. That's the way we all should live.
That's right.
So, can't wait to see you next time. I'm sure a few of you will tune in just because you're a little masochistic and you want to hear all of our mistakes. But we love you so much, and we'll see you next time.